Turning back to Capitol Hill, hours before the Senate voted against advancing a bipartisan border policy and foreign aid bill, lead Republican negotiator James Lankford spoke about what his colleagues and critics said about working with Democrats.
Some of them have been very clear with me. They have political differences with the bill. They say it's the wrong time to solve the problem or let the presidential election solve this problem. In fact, I had a popular commentator 4 weeks ago that I talked to that told me flat out, if you try to move a bill that solves the border crisis during this presidential year, I will do whatever I can to destroy you.
That sentiment falls out of line with a recent CBS News poll, well, from June, not so recent, but it found a majority of Republican voters, including 56% of self-described MAGA Republicans, say they want a Republican president to find common ground with Democrats. Let's bring in Stephen Smith. He's a professor of political science at Arizona State University. Professor, thank you for being with us. Let me ask you about Mitch McConnell. His Senate Republicans basically said they're not going to vote for this legislation that he wanted to pass. Is that kind of the normal way it would work with a Republican leader on a bipartisan bill, or does it say something about the new limits of leadership in the Republican Party in Congress now?
It says something about the new limits. The big new variable has been Donald Trump. Mitch McConnell, of course, is now the longest-serving party leader in Senate history. He was elected first in 2007. He's been a remarkably successful Senate Republican leader. He's always been a leader who tries to stay out ahead of the parade. So as his party has become more conservative, he has become more conservative. But what's happened here in the last few years is that the Republican electorate has been taken over by Donald Trump. And that's made many of his Senate Republican colleagues more sensitive to pleasing Trump than to pleasing him as the party leader. And it's put him in a very difficult spot. He was all for negotiating something on Ukraine and border security. I think even as of 4 or 5 days ago, he hoped that at least his Senate colleagues would go along with that idea, but he's failed. Obviously, conditions have changed, and he's suffered for it.
Take us back a little bit. There was a time in American history, not that recently, but still a time when the Senate and the House thought of the president as the kind of junior participant in American governor, an amateur. They were the pros. Give us a sense of how far we are from the system of shared powers that was the design of our government.
Well, our world has changed over the last half century, really starting in the 1980s. We've experienced since that time very sharply polarized parties. Step by step through the 90s and early in this century, the parties have differed on more and more issues. So there's very few areas of natural agreement. We've had extremely competitive elections. And that has generated very small majority parties in Congress. Then on top of that, we've had divided party control of the House and the Senate and of the White House more frequently than not. In fact, in the last 28 Congresses, we've had 19 cases of divided party control of Congress and the presidency. All of that is a recipe for delay in policymaking and even gridlock. And that's the condition we face even without a new factor like Donald Trump entering the fray as an outside leader of the Republican Party.
Professor Stephen Smith, we've run out of time, but we're going to have you back because this is not an issue that's going to be going away. We're very grateful. Thank you so much.
I'm most welcome.